Testing, testing. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to KF&JF podcast. Today, I want to talk about a little bit of issue, and maybe I hope that we all can come to agreement on. And I hope that we can come to an understanding that it's just one of those things that is different. And today, I want to talk about the lawyer. All right. So we're going to call this the law and attorneys versus the client and the money. As we know, it's a difference there. And it's a difference because of a lot of reasons. We're just going to touch on a few because I think this podcast is going to have to go to a part two. It might even a part three. And I want to get a couple of witnesses here to help us understand what we're talking about. And those witnesses are you, me, and everybody around you. And we'll talk a little bit about this right now. One of the things that I have learned over the years is that money plays a big part in the law. The law is just not meant for everybody. The law is, in most cases, set up for the lawyers. The law is really not set up for me and you. The law is set up for lawyers to make money, because otherwise there wouldn't be any place for them, right? We'll all have the same law. The laws will be easy to administer. When you do something wrong, the law says this, and you go whatever the law tells you to do. But because of the lawyers, the law has been used. And to a certain extent, money has played a big part in that uses. And so what I'm trying to understand and try to get you to understand is it's a difference between the money and the law. The lawyers knows the law. They're typically the people who, help design the law. Lawyers are the ones who work in the Senate and the Congress. Most of them are lawyers, ex-lawyers. And to some extent, they understand the law and they understand how the law could be used in applying their reason. And sometimes that reason is to how they're going to make more money. Because if you think about the law, if you think about how it's administered, most lawyers say a public defender lawyer, he's there to help you get off your case, whatever it is. He went to law school. Prosecutor is the lawyer. He went to law school. So basically, they both learned the law. But why is it not administered equally? And those are really the questions that I have and I'm posing to you, my viewers. And I hope you subscribe to me as well, because this helps me to be able to do what I'm trying to do here. And that's create understanding on these things. The client can be charged, or say you or me, can be charged with the same exact crime, the same exact circumstances of the crime. But yet we can be sentenced differently. Or if we have the money, the whole situation could be understood differently. And this is where I begin. Justice is one of those things that we need to work to achieve. It's not something that we're just going to get. And in doing that, as a client, if you don't have no money, believe me, justice may not be the same for you. Might be one of those things where you miss out on the justice because you'd have lack of the finances for the lawyer to be able to seek justice for you. Lawyers are working from trying to be a student of the law to trying to be a person that makes money off the law. And that's the same thing in Congress. That's the same thing in the Senate when the law is written. Most of those guys in there know they're on a term. They're not there forever. They're there for a short period of time. But what do they do when they get out? They become a lawyer, or they exercise the law and the degrees of the law that they understand and go back into the legal system, whether they are a prosecutor, a judge, or whatever. But those are the issues that we as a people have to start to look at because we're not a part of that. We're not a part of putting together the circumstances that the law can help us with. They're mostly put together by these people where the law really they know how to use to their benefit. And this is something that I think that most of us don't have a really good clue about. You know, it's the injustice in the law, and how does it become an injustice? It's it's really defined by the money. The money is the reason why the law is unjust. Let's think about this for a minute. Why the United States laws does not apply to all equally? Is it the money or is it the lawyer? Is it the lawyer's duty to exercise the law regardless of your money? No, I think not in the United States. Because if I go to a law firm and ask them to support me in my whatever my issue is, they're going to ask for thousands of dollars to do that. And I've tried to think about it. Well, it's just the law. It's just something that you're going to tell me that you can help because you understand the law and you be able to apply whatever is reasonable to defend me. But when you start to really think about the money, you start to think about what happens when you go to that law office. You go to the law office and you determine that, you know what? That's a really nice desk you got there. I mean, it's got marble in it and everything. I mean, you were on the 26th floor when I went there. Got all this fancy stuff in here. Matter of fact, that suit looks like it's about $8,000-$9,000. So when you go to a law office, are you really paying for the justice in your case, or for your case to be evaluated equally? Or when you give up that money, you're paying for a part of the luxury of that law office. And that, to myself, is why the law is unjust. Because lawyers should be able to at least be able to apply the law to your case equally, regardless of what their financial status is. Regardless if you're poor or not. If you have an issue and the law has a flaw to where it affects your case, you should be able to be treated equally, and the lawyer should be able to exercise finding those flaws to give you good representation. That's the purpose of the lawyer, not the money. But this is not the case. If the lawyer understands the law, why do we have so much injustice? Why is it that your lawyer, in some cases, I'm not going to just use you because I think you have money, but I'm just going to say, for the sake of argument, say you have money. Why is it that you are able to get a lawyer that's going to help you get out and fight your case from home and get your bail down to a reasonable amount and be able to get you in a position where you can go out and still enjoy your dream? And that is that the money that we're talking about that got you that? Because if the law is the same for me and for you, I should be able to get out too and be able to enjoy my dream. But it's not. It's applied because the person, the lawyer, and the law has been put together so succinctly to where if the person wants to fight for you, he will go through the ends of the law because he knows how to manipulate it. Or not necessarily manipulate it, but he knows it. So he knows he can see the flaws. But because I have no money, and because my situation may be different, and you may not be able to, really get me in a position where I have enough money to pay for you, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to sit back and say, well, uh, regardless of my situation, I just don't have enough money to pay you to do the things that I think you should be doing under the law? But money is the key, and the law is written for those to succeed in it if you have the money. I don't think that when you sit back at home and if you're not in any trouble, if you haven't done anything wrong, if you haven't gotten any problems with the law, you may not see this as an argument for you to be worried about. But I really think you ought to think about it in a broader situation. You got family, you got friends, you got co-workers, you got circumstances. You just don't know what will happen. And you would want the law to be equally applied to you and to everyone else that you know. But if the case is not done that way because of money or because of a lawyer's need and want for a luxury office, then we're not talking about the law. We're talking about injustice in that law. So, what I'm trying to get at today, down here from the ground view of things, is how you see it. How do you see the law applies to people and things that you know? I look at a few things because when the law is just interested in money and it's the root of its and how it's being applied, then we're all at a disadvantage to some extent because sometimes you may not have enough money when you think you got money to get to the point where you can get your case properly represented. So I think that there's a couple of things that I think we're missing here. And what's missing in the law? One of the things that's missing in the law is the people. If you had people, regular people, I should say, that was able to view circumstances and situations normally, and then helping to, you know, apply the law and helping to minister the law and helping to write the law, you probably get a more well-rounded view of some of the circumstances that applies to people and how you would see the implementation of that law because it doesn't fit everybody the same way. One of the main things about the law that we really don't really truly understand, and I think it's hard for everybody to try to think about it in this way, is that justice is not a race. Justice is not a color. Justice is not a religion or a sexual orientation. Justice is the soul of democracy. If you think of it that way, that's how If it's the soul of democracy, then it applies to us all because we live in a democracy. But this is not. This is the biggest part of the race division in this country is the haves and the have-not, and that's how the law works when you're trying to get yourself in a position where you need to get an attorney or you need to have someone help you understand the law. Because not everybody is going to be able to give you what you want. Or not, I shouldn't say what you want, but give you an understanding so that you have a clear opportunity to make a clear decision. Let's think about it this way. And we'll use this example only because it's in the news and you're listening to it. And you're out there every day trying to figure out how is it possible that the law is different for this person and this person. Let's think about this situation Donald Trump is in. And let's think about it in the context of you and me and say your family. Let's look at it in that context. And if you have money, right on. If you don't have money, we're going to write on to that too because money ain't everything. But let's just talk for the sake of we don't have that kind of money. But the law should not be a representation of the money. It should be something that we can see clear without any fogginess or without any cloudiness. It should be clear and equal and applied equally to everyone. But when you look at this situation and you see that, okay, this guy is a president, ex-president, but now he's a citizen. So I'm not going to even talk about him as a president or ex-president. He's a citizen. He's you and he's me. And if anything happens to you or me, we got to be able to protect ourselves. So we get a lawyer. We get someone to help us out. But the circumstances, what I find is that the lawyer that he has is able to look in the law and find all kinds of loopholes to be able to get this man to ride the law. Now, if I tell somebody to go do something, or if I suggest in any way that somebody go do something, if I make an inference in any kind of way that somebody go do something, I might be held accountable. If I stole something from someone and it was not mine and I was supposed to return it and I refuse to return it because I think it's mine, I might be accountable. If I look back at my life and realize that there were all kinds of other things that I could have been accountable for, then you'll be accountable for it. But is there a difference when someone don't have the ability to fight whatever your allegations may be? And I think that's the case here with Trump. Trump's got money, so he's able to ride the law. Now, how's that possible? If the law is straightforward and it's equal and it's the same for everybody, how is it that he can be, like I said, he's the same as me and you? How can he be outside because he stole something? How could he not be in prison or in jail, fighting from the outside, fighting from inside the cell, trying to figure out how to get this situation taken care of? That's what most people have to do. Their bail set so high, they're not out there trying to figure out and enjoying their dreams, golfing and running around and eating dinner and having all this luxury life, because they're inside the jail. Soon as they stole something, the police at the door have taken them to jail. They're not taking them, to find out if they have a good case or not. The fact that it was stolen, the fact that it wasn't theirs, the fact that you did something, The officer's at your door. But the difference is we don't have the money. We don't have the lawyer to sit there and say, oh, well, hold on a minute. The law says this, or I can come in there and I want to file this and I want to. Well, why doesn't that happen to everybody or for everybody? Again, it's money. Money's in our system so tough to where injustice is the root of its result of having money in the law. It's not designed to give you equality. It's designed to give you inequality because it's not meant for everybody. But here on my podcast, KF&JF, Grounded View, this is what I think about it. I think the law is something people have to fight for. Your lawyer has to be willing to fight for you. And he should be willing to fight for you regardless of how much money you got. He should be willing to use and exercise all parts of the law and giving you the best representation that he can. Not to say that everybody's going to get off, not to say that the law is there to protect and get everybody off from free, but the law is to be applied equally. And the lawyers are to look for the places and the things that help to apply the law equally to you as if you were filthy rich, even though you're not. And if you are, then there should be no difference. But when you look at Trump and you see what he's going through and you see everybody that have all these allegations and different claims and different things, he hasn't spent one day behind bars. One day with handcuffs on because you were accused of something. And been brought into the police station to post bail because he was accused of something. Haven't been OR'd on any reason. OR, if you've been there, it's really on your own recognizance. But even any of that and all of that means that you have to have some interaction with law enforcement. They, at some point, would have to bring you in. And that is one of the differences that money makes. Is that this guy, with all of these complaints and allegations, nobody has ever brought him to the court or even to jail to enter a plea on any of these cases. Money has allowed him to keep from doing that. And the attorneys that he hires are so expensive that seems like, how is it that they get to find a loophole in the law that makes it so that he doesn't get to go? How do they get to find the loophole on the law that says, oh, my client should be treated differently? How is it that his money applies different laws? And that is something we as a people have got to fix. Because, like I said, justice is not a race. Okay? It's not black or white. But when it's applied wrong, injustice is because of what you have and what you don't have. And that is one of the angry parts that makes me angry here. It's a very, very, very difficult thing to sit back and know that someone with money can be treated differently. Someone without money can have their life, their family, and everything that they know taken away from them. They go to the jail, they lose their house. They go to the jail, they lose their job. They go to the jail, they get stigmatized. They go to the jail, they have all kinds of other emotional issues. And here's the bigger thing, it may not even be true. But because of someone that said it or whatever it is, you're going to go to jail. You're going to be in there. So why is it Trump not in jail? Why does he not have the same experience as the guy that's accused of whatever, that's been arrested for whatever, and fought from the system? Now, like I said from the beginning, he's you, he's me. He's not the president of the United States or vice president. So if we start to put people into separate categories of based on what they did in their life, then maybe we all might have some different parts of the law that applies to us, because some of us have work. Should we be applied differently? Some of us have own businesses. Should we be applied differently? Some of us that uh, help the homeless and fed everybody around, and been in sports and doing all these things, should they be applied differently? Does the law have a category of what you have done in order to be applied to you? No, it does not. You know that. It doesn't have that, people. The law is supposed to be applied equally, and we're not getting that in America right now. But when it comes down to those who have less, the law seems to have a very powerful impact on their lives. And the law is relentless on them if you don't have the money. It is used and hammered into your case, or hammered into your family, or hammered into your life. It takes away everything. But if you have money, you can ride the system and ride justice until it seems as if justice get tired and it don't even want to be dealing with you no more. Because you know what the problem is? Justice don't have no money. So justice don't ride on money. It just rides on honesty. And to the extent that people keep throwing filth at it and dishonesty at it and try to corrupt it and try to change its meaning or its ability to have meaning, then yeah, you can get away with it. You can be so good at it to your lawyers even know what to do to get you out of it. They ride it, but they won't do it for you. They go in and say, Your Honor, my client is blah blah blah, and he'll take a plea. My client is blah blah blah, and he'll sign for this. But if you got the money, my client has a job, Your Honor. My client has a company, Your Honor. My client needs to be out for his family, Your Honor. My client needs to have this and needs to have that. And you know what? It's the same issue for all of those people that are dealing with the law. But again, that guy with money will be at home with his mother, or at home with his family, or running his business from his living room, while the other person is in jail trying to hold on to his job, calling him, trying to tell him he gonna get out when the bail is reached an all-time high, and he still haven't been found one way or the other, but he's lost everything. And it could be a traffic violation. It could be anything. But the law has to have some ability to be applied equally. And money should never be a part of its goal in getting at it applied. But it is. So as I sit back here right now and think about all of the things that we're trying to do in our world, and we watched this guy get away with murder practically because, like I said, January 6th was one of those things where somebody got hurt. I mean, all those people there are going to court. Some of them don't have the money. They're getting change of life, jobs, time in prison, all this stuff. But this man, Mr. Trump, as we know, doesn't face the day in front of a judge to plead whether or not he's innocent or guilty. At least that should be the standard barrier for applying the law. You come in front of it, you tell it what you think about it, and it tells you what you need to do. But he doesn't even get to have that. He gets to sit back inside the house, and his lawyers do that, and he's never been in front of it. And I think that's why we have such a division in this country, because of the implementation of the law. And how does it get, handled when it affects you? So, and my situation, I don't, all I can tell you is this: the law is not meant for everybody to get justice from. The law is sometimes meant to create its own injustice, because to get justice sometimes requires a lot of money, requires a lot of time, requires a lot of, understanding to be able to do that. But like I said, this is just an overview. We'll get back at this. KF&JF. Hey, don't forget to subscribe. Podcast, The Grounded View.